Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Hells, or Helen if you prefer, and please join me for a few moments from my week. First off, Mark and I headed over to Worthing to check out this cemetery. It's a cemetery which closed about, or stopped burying people 40 to 50 years ago, and wasn't particularly well looked after, but now has a group of volunteers who have secured some lottery funding, and they come in twice a week to keep the site going and to record the lives of those buried here. There's a lot of dedication has gone into keeping this a quiet space, and it's a real haven for wildlife. It's not a very big site, it's only about an acre, but there's a lot going on here, and the wildlife is a very key part of that. You can see here there's even some new cement where we've got some freshly laid tracks of it's probably a cat and some birds here as well. The volunteers really do a fantastic job of looking after this site and keep it open for the residents of Worthing's use and to commemorate those who have been buried here. It's a very peaceful way to spend an hour, and I do appreciate what the volunteers have done here. Nature had started to take over, and you can see in this next clip how much so, how quickly the nature can claim back the land. After a little walk and sit in the cemetery, we did head to the pub for a quick pint before we went home. Today we're going to be making some lotion bars. I've made these a few times in the past with different variations. In fact, I generally keep them when I'm using them in this metal tin that I had from Lush. And right at the end, and all I've got is lots of little broken bits, so I'll probably add these also back into my mixture, clean out the tin so I can start from fresh. I've got lots of the I don't even know how to pronounce them, these beads that came in. I've got a really lovely cinnamon smell, and I've also used coffee beans in it before, and that kind of smells like a mocha, because I use cocoa butter as well. So to make these lotion bars, I started off with 55 grams of cocoa butter, followed by 20 grams of mango butter, and then 10 grams, I've used almond oil here. A few drops of vitamin E, and then 10 to 15 drops of my favourite essential oil. I've used orange and rosemary for this one. And then I'm just adding in my leftover bars. Gave the tin a good scrub. And I've gently melted down all my ingredients. It's smelling delicious already. Just just making sure that's well and truly melted. It was only very gently melting this. Simple as just pouring it into the moulds. Trying to make sure I've got an even amount of beans in each bar. And then you just allow that to set. These did take quite a few hours to cool down and to set fully, and it is very important to make sure they set fully in the middle before trying to remove them. And just to help clear out my jug, I just go around it with a piece of kitchen roll before washing it up. So these did take a few hours to set, but those are well and truly set now, and they smell just so delicious, particularly with the cocoa butter. And then to keep things fresh for a little while until I come to use them, I'm just going to wrap them in some parchment paper. And these would also make quite a nice little gift as well. So onto my weekly food shop. Started off by topping up the freezer with some frozen vegetables. And then I picked up these Goodfellas mozzarella bites and some prawn toasties for the freezer. Some part baked red to go with our beef bourguignon at the weekend. Some Alpen and some chocolate digestives. Meat-wise, I picked up some chicken breasts, some more beef for our beef bourguignon, and some sausages. And then Dad's got a chicken biryani ready meal for the weekend. And packs of ham for sandwiches. Do eat quite a bit of the ham. And then some yogurts for Mark. And I picked up this Cully and Sully soup. It's like a chicken vegetable. And I have already had that, and it was rather lovely, and it was a good offer. Some more yogurts, some more cheese, and another 12 eggs. And I picked up this pumpkin seed loaf again, as Mark and I are really enjoying this one. I hope it's just not a seasonal item. And then on to our fruit and veg. Got some peaches, some satsumas, some oranges, grapes, bananas, and then a little bit of salad, tomatoes, cucumber, pepper, mushrooms, and some beetroot. And then I stocked up with some cat food as well. They mainly eat dry biscuits, but the soups they do enjoy, and top them up with some of their treats. Banjo's not a big fan of Dreamies, but I've found that he quite likes the catnip one, and probably more due to the catnip than anything. So my local Lakeland homeware shop is now all Christmas ready. So I've gone in. It's really lovely and quiet here. It felt like I had the whole store to browse just by myself. I went to check out their new Christmas range, and they got a lot of it set up right in the entrance, which was handy. Snow globes were cute. I really love these candle holders, these bow candle holders, and I think they'll be great as candle holders all year round, not just for Christmas. Another thing that took my eye was this melamine tray. It's not ceramic, so it will last longer in my house. Handy for nibbles. Another thing I like, they've got a really lovely selection of Christmas crackers, and this one was a game rather than sort of plastic novelties, which also caught my eye. And then round here they've got some really lovely Christmas tree candles. They are so pretty, and the only thing is, I think if I got one I probably wouldn't want to light it because they're so adorable. But as an alternative, they've got this light up ceramic tree. I think I might get one of them. I just can't decide which. Probably be the candle, if I'm completely honest. Then they've got these. I love it. I've always wanted some little mock candles for the Christmas tree. And they've also got a new selection of some really lovely candles, and they smell quite expensive. I mean, they were on the pricier side. Very, very lovely flavours. Now this takes me right back. I had no idea they still made a dairy diary. My mum used to have one of these every year, and I seem to remember them back in the early 90s. I've never seen them since then, since my mother had one. So I was really tempted. It might go on my Christmas list. Oh, check out this beautiful bowl. It's got the snowman on it. It's like a baking bowl. And then they've got the Christmas cake toppers to match it as well for the snowman. A little bit on the pricey side, but so, so cute. I've got a friend who I think would love this heated cushion. Show that to her. And then they've got their gingerbread houses in. Never had any luck making a gingerbread house, so I think I'm going to resist these. And then they've got a really lovely selection of biscuits and treats. And I've got a little baby gingerbread house there as well. It's time for a little bit of cooking now. And I was gifted these cooking apples. And I found a recipe for apple and mint jam. So the first thing I need to do is to thoroughly wash these cooking apples and to take off any blemishes. And then you'll roughly chop them, leaving in the cores and the pips, as these are needed to release the pectin to help my jam set. So I'll chop these up and add them into my heavy base pan. Although it took some time, it was a lot easier not having to core the apples. I've got quite a lot there. Don't put the vinegar in yet, but I'm going to measure out a pint of apple cider vinegar. And then in with the apples, I throw in a very roughly chopped bunch of mint. And then cover up the apples and mint mixture with water. And then you put that on the stove and bring it to the boil. And then let that simmer for 45 minutes. So here it is after the 45 minutes, and this is the point where I'm going to add the pint of apple cider vinegar, and then I let that cook again for another 5 minutes. Once it's finished cooking, we need to strain the apple mixture. I've got a straining bag here, or you could use muslin. The listed marks help for this one. Let's tie this up then. Yeah. You need to let this sit. You don't squeeze the bag at all. Just let it drip through. And I did leave this overnight, so I hung it up from one of my cupboards. Let that drain through. The next day, before I started draining, the first thing I wanted to do was to thoroughly wash and sterilise my jars. So I did that first of all. I did the oven method. And then I measured out the juice that I got from the apples. And for every pint of apple juice that you have, I had 450 grams of sugar. So I'm using caster sugar for this one. Any kind of cane sugar would work nicely. So I add my sugar and the apple juice into a pan. Let the sugar dissolve slowly in the apple juice before bringing it up to a rolling boil. At this point, we don't really stir the mixture, but it is important to get any of the white foam, which is the scum, off of the top. I did get quite a lot out of this batch of apples of the scum off. As you can see here, it should be this quite nice clear mixture. So I let mine boil for about 20 minutes, which is a lot longer than I expected. Normally if I make any kind of jam, 10 minutes seems to be the magic number. But you add a spoonful onto a cool plate, and as you get the wrinkles, that's when you're knowing that it's going to set nicely. So at this point, I leave it to cool for a couple of minutes before adding in some fresh mint. I used one bunch, but looking back, a couple of bunches would have done nicely. So all there is for me to do now is, while the mixture is warm and my jars are warm, I'm going to bottle this up. If I'd left it a few more minutes, I think the mint would have mixed in a little bit nicer. Most of them, it did float to the top, so it hasn't evenly distributed throughout the jars. So I've also added the lids while the jars are warm, and that will help keep them sealed. It's probably the best jar that I've made. You can see the mint flecks are distributed quite nicely throughout the jar. Most of them turned out like this next one, where all the mint floated to the top. But it was absolutely delicious. And this is an example of what it actually looks like now. It's all cooled. And finally, here's just a few clips from something we did a little different. Mark and I haven't been to the Cabaret Club in Chichester since the beginning of the year. It's always such a fabulous night. It's hosted once every couple of months by the fabulous Dawn Gracie. And she always has such a great selection of acts, from burlesque dancers, circus performers, drag queens, comedians, and all kinds of novelty acts in between. And it is just such a riot every time. This one was definitely very memorable for us, as they had a ventriloquist act that collared Mark, and he got roped into all the fun and games. I didn't leave the sound on any of this because there was a lot of music going on in the background throughout the show that would definitely get me copyrighted. But this was such a fun evening. Well, that's all for this week, and thanks very much, and I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Ta-ra for now.